So in other terms, this would the trade unions, the workers experience the hardship of what it feels to labor. The hardships of work overwhelm the workers, accompanied by unjust or lack of proper attention from the employers. The overwhelmed workers will resort at some certain extent that these trade unions become involved in political matters. This could lead to the main weapons that the source document referred to as strikes and lockouts. So this is the main weapon, we can say main weapon of trade unions, labor unions, uh, that they can use to voice out their pleas or to voice out their para kailangan naman nilang i-voice out ang kanilang mga hinaing. This is strikes or rally sa Pilipinas, kumbaga. Strikes wherein, yes, they come together, they protest like that, but this is the Pope is insistent that this is only for voicing out their concerns only, because if it is used as a direct political intervention, then the the end result, we can assume that we can assume that the result will be a revolution, and the Pope wants to avoid that as much as possible, because at some point when two forces clash nga, it may even cause some sort of violence if ever friction between two opposing sides arise. On the other hand, since strikes may only be the most effective means to voice out the pleas of the poor, caution should be taken that it should not be for direct political intervention. Yeah, the issue of strike should not be used as direct political intervention. It can be said that Paul VI did not want to incite the people to let their voices be heard to the extent that they are driven to become the political leaders who provides jobs for the people. This is a concrete example of the Filipino adage, baliktarin ng tatsulok. But once if we remember the report of Brother Noel about the tatsulok, if this the usage of strikes is done incorrectly, it is a very negative result as baliktarin ng tatsulok, because it will only always if you remember the diagram of Brother Noel, it's always continue endless cycle of like that. The ones at the bottom comes on top, and once they are on top, they will again people at the bottom who wants to rise on top also to put down the answer. It is always it will be a continuous vicious cycle, which is the Pope wanted to avoid, or this is the idea that the Pope wants to convey, na it should not be done as a direct political intervention. So, like I said a while ago, however, since a strike seems to be the ordinary way to voice out the pleas of the poor, it should not be taken from them. So it should not be taken from them. Take note, it should not be taken from them, because this is the most non-violent way to voice out their plea, as long as it is not used as voicing out their pleas only, and not as a direct political intervention. So, this is to incite the participation of both parties, those who are at the bottom and those who are of the governing body. So, creating opportunities for the poor to take part in the decision making will be more ideal. So, in this juncture, we can say that participation is the key. And Pope Paul strongly advocates the need for a greater sharing in responsibility and decision making, both in economic life and in the social and political sphere. That is taken from the letter itself on Octogesima Adveniens number 47. This is an ideal that is needed to start healing the wounds of society, especially with regards to the injuries inflicted by the system of the world to those nations who cannot ride in the same rhythm of progress. So, as I said a while ago, I will re-echo again, the act of helping the poor should not be taken for granted. This is in the sense that when help is given, it should not be done for compliance sake only. It should be given in line with the most appropriate and embodiment of Christian values. So, with this, we have some relevant questions that we can uh, ponder upon, but I will try to answer them based on the letter itself. I will try my best to answer them based on the letter itself. So first question, despite all the ideals that were pointed out in the document, the classic question still comes in. Will the ideals be enough to make a leap towards the first step in making a revisited social doctrine? The second is, again, there were also unclarified descriptions of situations which rendered the presented ideals and the roles to be vague. Will it be clarified and identified properly? And third questions is, if the church will continue to voice plea for the good of society, how will the church make herself relevant in the passage of time? And to return the first question, again, the Pope advocated a very many ideals that can be based our actions from. And maybe I I assume that the ideals be enough to make a leap towards the first step in making a revisited social doctrine. Again, the deductive and inductive methods, which concerned about especially the ones on the reading of the signs of times, these methods, maybe the goal, or I can say the goal of the Pope here, is to present some ways, present some ideals in which people can take. This is to present options that people can take, so that as one, we can make a revisited social doctrine. And second is, there were also unclarified description situations which rendered the presented ideals and roles to be vague. Will it be clarified and identified properly? And according to the source document, which was given by Father Jones, this is there lies the difficulty, because as time is progressing, value problems or uh, unresolved situations continue to arise, or crisis, I should say, crisis will continue to come out, and the presented ideals will maybe can be clarified in the passage of time, because not only maybe they may not be clear now, but it can be relevant in the passage of time. Now, I can say that, will it be clarified and identified properly? Maybe yes, but in the passage of time. And if the church will continue to voice plea for the good of society, how will the church make herself relevant in the passage of time? As I said again a while ago, the answer lies on the reading the signs of times. This may be the reason why ever since the time of Jesus Christ up until today, the church is still standing, because of the constant reading of the signs of time. The church can always keep up with the church is always keeping herself on the move and keeping herself relevant in the passage of time, because baga sumasabay ang simbahan sa mga nagsisilabasang mga trends or current mga uso, yung baga, and making use of what arises in society today to address the problems. to address, or taking advantage of what the society can offer, the present society can offer to make herself still relevant today. One example again is in this time of crisis of COVID-19, where the church or the faithful cannot go to church because of the danger of spreading the virus. The church is making use of the technology of live, even though the Pope warned that this should not be always kept, and always, because uh, even even when it is also available, there's still this dimension of the sacraments that it should be done uh, through contact, because it is better to have contact with the not physical, or rather spiritual contact, rather than the virtual contact. And all in all, to summarize what I said, what I reported about the Octogesima Adveniens, the passing to the political dimension from the economics is also expresses demand made by the man today, a greater sharing in responsibility and in decision making. Today, the field is wider and extends to the social and political sphere, in which reasonable sharing in responsibility and in decisions must be established and strengthened. Because if there were many solutions that were presented before, since time is still progressing, those answers that address for that particular time will not be able to keep up with the new ones that is still arising. So, however, these obstacles must not slow down the giving of wider participation in working out decisions and making choices and putting them into practice. And in the social sphere, from the letter itself, number 48, Octogesima Adveniens number 48, that the church has always wished to assume a double function. So first, it is to enlighten the minds in order to assist them to discover the truth and to find the right path to follow amid the different teachings that call for their attention. And secondly, to take part in action and to spread with a real care of service and effectiveness the energies of the gospel. Okay? I think that's all for my report. If you have questions, maybe you can ask me when we come back.